Well, hello everybody. Seth Campbell here with the new Segue Says podcast. This episode is going to feature one song we haven't heard before in this podcast and one that we have. The one we haven't heard before is A Trick of the Tail by Genesis, and the one we have is Cold as Ice by Foreigner. And these are two of my favorite 70s, 80s rock bands, so you know this is going to be a fun one. Let's start with A Trick of the Tail. Trick of the Tail was on the Genesis album of the same name, Trick of the Tail, that came out in 1976. It was the first to feature Phil Collins as lead vocalist after Peter Gabriel had left, and it's very much sort of the opposite of the previous album that they did with Gabriel, which is The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway. This one is much more sort of charming folk tale, London characters type of record. And the songs tell great stories, and this is one of them. It's the story of a mythical creature who leaves his home in the faraway hills to find some adventure or find, a partner to share his life. And he ends up in a human city, and he doesn't understand what all these strange creatures are that he's never seen before. Of course, they don't understand what he is either, and him, looking like a monster or a demon, he's, put on display in zoos and in freak shows, and he's studied endlessly, and no one believes his story of coming from this beautiful golden city in the mountains. And he just wants to go back home after dealing with these mysterious human creatures. And so it's kind of it's a simplistic message, but still a powerful one, I think. The song goes through a few keys. The verses are in F sharp minor, and eventually you get to the chorus is in D sharp minor. That's going to be important for the segue, but I want to play through a verse chorus to give you a sense of this song. And by the way, look up the music video of this, because I swear it's supposed to be like a Sesame Street performance. Like the way they do it, the visuals, it's so much like any musical guest on Sesame Street, but I can't find any confirmation that that's what they were trying to do, but everyone I've shown it to agrees with me on this. So it goes something like this. Lord of the life in the city of gold, he left and let nobody know. Gone were the towers he had known from a child, along with the dreams of a life. Back at the wide open road, the blinkered arcade, in search of another to share in his life. Nowhere the people look so strange to him. They got no horns and they got no tail. They don't even know of our existence. Am I wrong to believe in the city of gold that lies in the deeper distance? He cried and wept as they led him away to a cage. The beast that can talk read the sign. So it's a very sort of charming sound. It's a classic folktale almost lyric. Now, if you know the second song, Cold as Ice by Foreigner, you know that it's a much harder rock song than that. But you might also hear where we're going with this, because it's in D sharp minor. It also has this 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 swing rhythm. You're as cold as ice. You're willing to sacrifice our love. You never take advice, someday you'll pay the price, I know. I've seen it before, it happens all the time. You're closing the door, you leave the world behind. You're digging for gold, or throwing away a fortune and feelings, but someday you'll pay. And so you can hear they kind of have these similar chords, this sort of bouncy rhythm to it. And the most distinct part is this sort of oscillating right-hand piano. Now, in Trick of the Tail, it switches every quarter note. 1, 2, 3, 4. And the chords are D sharp minor and G sharp minor. And in Cold as Ice, the oscillating pattern is every 2 quarter notes. 2, 3, 4. And the chords are D sharp minor and B major, which is the relative major of G sharp minor. So these chords are somewhat interchangeable in terms of harmonic scales. And so this one should be pretty easy. You get to the last chorus of the Trick of the Tail. Got no horns and I got no tail. They don't even know of our existence. Am I wrong to believe in the city of gold that lies in the deep distance? You cry. You just substitute the 2 quarter note oscillating pattern of Cold as Ice for the 1 quarter note oscillating pattern for Trick of the Tail. You're as cold as ice. You're willing to sacrifice our love. And then you get to the end of Cold as Ice. As cold as ice. You can again just, the first thing you switch can be the right hand patterns. Cold as ice. They got no horns and they got no tail. They don't even know of our existence. Am I wrong to believe in the city of gold that lies in the deep distance? He cried. And there you have it. So that's a simple, fairly straightforward, fun one. You can go either way. If you want to start with Cold as Ice, you can do that. I personally like to start with Trick of the Tail because it's a much milder song, and then when the tension reaches its peak, you go into Cold as Ice, and then you do all that, and then you let loose, and you just can finish with the quiet end of Trick of the Tail to give people a chance to breathe. But, again, I'm just the messenger, It's up to you guys to do what you want to do with it. But hopefully you've enjoyed watching. Hopefully you've learned something. I will see you next time.